Experience SeaWorld in a whole new way, where black and white has never been so colorful.
How's it going? Today we'll be exploring what happened to Southwest Airlines' Shamu fleet. For the uninitiated, Southwest Airlines had a 25-year-long partnership with SeaWorld. During the partnership, Southwest Airlines, at one point, had 5 Shamu planes flying around at once. This video will explore the history of the Shamu fleet, as well as where those planes are now. While what's going on at SeaWorld is unfortunate, I do remember seeing these Shamu planes flying around California. They helped spark my interest in marine life, especially orcas, and aviation in general. Orcas are pretty awesome animals, and while I disagree with their treatment, this video really focuses on the history of the Shamu fleet. While researching this stuff, I did come across some interesting information that I'll be sharing. The video is split into 3 parts: early history, the partnership, and fleet history. As always, please be sure to subscribe and let me know what you're interested in hearing about next. In the late 80s, Southwest Airlines was looking to expand its horizons. Southwest was founded on March 15, 1967, by Herb Kelleher. They initially flew out of Dallas Love Field and set their sights on becoming the airline of Texas. By 1988, Southwest had grown rapidly and was looking to expand outside of Texas. They were also interested in a new marketing campaign, as up until 1988, their main focus was on being the Love airline, a reference to their hub, Love Field, but also, of course, this stuff.
Love, all over Texas, spreading love for you and me. We're Southwest Airlines, going to get you, save you from a boring day.
In 1988, SeaWorld had 3 parks: the OG SeaWorld San Diego, which opened in 1964, along with SeaWorld Ohio, that opened in 1970, and was followed 3 years later by SeaWorld Orlando in 1973. SeaWorld's next expansion would plant them in the state of Texas. SeaWorld San Antonio, SeaWorld's 4th park at the time, was scheduled to open in 1988, over Memorial Day weekend. Southwest and SeaWorld were perfect partners. It's likely that the partnership was alluded to before 1988, but I was unable to find any articles that support this directly. Southwest, being the hometown airline of Texas, was keen to support the next major tourist attraction for the city of San Antonio. SeaWorld also desired a broad, countrywide marketing campaign to increase ticket sales for all of their parks, while increasing awareness for their new San Antonio location. Unlike the other airlines' mindset in the late 80s, Southwest was eager to fly their planes in special liveries. Johnny Clark, director at the Design Air, said, "Southwest, being one of the longest-lasting low-cost carriers, has historically treated its livery with a little more levity or free spirit than regular mainline carriers, and started creating special liveries back in 1984. Southwest and SeaWorld both offered what the other company desired, and rolled out a marketing plan. Under the plan, Southwest would paint up some of their planes in SeaWorld-approved liveries. Southwest would also have the right to use certain aspects of the SeaWorld brand in their promotional marketing materials and actions. SeaWorld was required to have Southwest-specific branding in their parks, which included the sale of some merchandise. On May 23, 1988, the first member of the Shamu fleet was unveiled at Dallas Love Field. The aircraft was a 737-300, registered November 334 Sierra Whiskey. The aircraft soon started on a 27-city tour promoting SeaWorld and, more specifically, SeaWorld San Antonio, which would open 4 days later on May 27, 1988, during Memorial Day weekend. Herb and his family at Southwest Airlines loved the SeaWorld partnership, as evidenced by a bunch of models and even murals that depict Southwest planes with the Shamu livery. The partnership blossomed over the years and resulted in a total of 6 Southwest airplanes flying around with SeaWorld liveries, 5 of which wore the Shamu colors. The Shamu livery was an eye-catcher, to be sure. It likely caught the attention of many traveling families and raised awareness of orcas, but mostly of SeaWorld. On certain flights, Southwest Airlines even promoted transportation to SeaWorld penguins. These penguins, often named Pete and Penny, were usually released from their cages in flight and allowed to interact with passengers. The most recent time this practice occurred was around 2012, again with Pete and Penny. A man traveling from Denver to San Diego sums up how people in the early 2010s felt about this, saying, "It's practically impossible to look at a penguin and feel angry." Unfortunately, on the 25th year of this partnership, everything would come to a quick end. As we're all aware, in 2013 a documentary called Blackfish came out. The documentary informed the general public of issues with SeaWorld and their treatment of animals in captivity, in particular the orca populations. The documentary was a decisive moment for orcas in captivity, and its effects still have influences today. In the context of this video, Blackfish brought about the end of using orcas and Shamu as a marketing gimmick. This marked the end of flying penguins and the Shamu fleet. By 2014, SeaWorld lost many of its partnerships and promotional agreements. Companies like Virgin Holidays and Thomas Cook ceased sales to SeaWorld parks, along with any captive orca experiences. Southwest Airlines quickly followed suit, and in July of 2014, both companies delivered a short statement which ended their 25-year-long partnership. Both companies in this joint statement simply cited shifting priorities. SeaWorld, which voiced disappointment in the other companies, ultimately remained silent on the Southwest partnership's ending. Southwest did offer a little more information and stated, "This was strictly a business decision. Southwest and SeaWorld mutually determined that we wanted to redirect resources in other directions." The end of the partnership did mark the end of the Shamu fleet. While unfortunate, the SeaWorld Southwest partnership also encouraged the resurgence of special liveries in the United States. Alaska Airlines, for example, was inspired to paint up one of their 737s in the Salmon 30 Salmon livery, which advertises Alaska's pride in connecting the world with some of Alaska's freshest seafood, and of course salmon. Nowadays, there are dozens of special liveries flying around in the States. Before Southwest, the only other carrier to do this was really Braniff Airlines. So with all of this in mind, let's take a look at the planes that flew with the SeaWorld liveries and where they are now. For the most part, there were always 3 SeaWorld planes flying around. A brief period in 2005, while the fleet was being upgraded to the 737 Next Generation, saw 5 Shamu planes flying at the same time. November 334 Sierra Whiskey was the first plane in the Shamu livery. The aircraft was delivered on May 22, 1988, from Boeing in the Shamu livery. After it was unveiled to the public on May 23rd, it flew on that 27-city tour mentioned earlier to increase awareness of the new SeaWorld location in Texas. This is actually why 334 had this painted below the SeaWorld logo. The subtitle says, "Of Texas." In 2002, the Of Texas subtitle was dropped in favor of adding adventure parks. The only other major change to the Texan Shamu came in mid-2003, when the desert gold portions of the livery were repainted to match the new canyon blue livery. It would be the first of the Shamu planes to be repainted into canyon blue. The Texan Shamu flew on unchanged until its retirement in December of 2012. This makes it the only Southwest airplane to remain in the Shamu livery for all of its operational life. November 507 Sierra Whiskey was one of 2 SeaWorld 737-500s that were delivered in 1990. 507 Sierra Whiskey was actually Southwest Airlines' 100th aircraft delivery, and first flew with the airline on May 30th, 1990, just 1 year after Shamu 1 joined the Southwest fleet. 507 Sierra Whiskey's subtitle read "Of California." The Californian Shamu also had Shamu 2 painted on the nose, until it was replaced with the more common Shamu logo in 2003. In 2003, Of California was also replaced with adventure parks. Unlike the Texan Shamu 1, California's SeaWorld plane stayed in the original desert gold livery until 2005. In 2005, the entire plane was repainted to canyon blue, removing the Shamu livery completely. The Californian Shamu would fly with Southwest in the canyon blue livery until late 2013, when it was scrapped. 507 Sierra Whiskey was actually one of the last 737-500s retired from the Southwest Airlines fleet. November 501 Sierra Whiskey was the second SeaWorld 737-500 delivered in 1990, growing the Shamu fleet to 3 aircraft total. Shamu 3 entered into service on September 7th, 1990, 4 months after Shamu 2. Kind of cool, 501 Sierra Whiskey has an earlier registration than Shamu 2's 507 Sierra Whiskey. 501 also first flew on June 30th, 1989, before Shamu 2 was even delivered. So what happened with Shamu 3? Well, it was actually the prototype 737-500 model. Boeing used 501 Sierra Whiskey in the flight test program for the 737 next generation models. 501 Sierra Whiskey during this time actually carried another registration, November 73700. After testing wrapped up, the aircraft was given its Southwest registration of November 501 Sierra Whiskey. Shamu 3 was delivered with an Of Ohio subtitle. It kept this until 2001, when the Ohio location was sold off to Six Flags. Until 2003, Shamu 3 flew around with only the plain-looking SeaWorld titles, which sets it apart from other Shamu planes. In 2003, the aircraft gained the Adventure Park subtitle, and also had its nose designation of Shamu 3 replaced with the Shamu logo. In 2005, the airplane's livery was replaced with the standard Canyon Blue livery, and the aircraft was stored in July of 2012. November 713 Sierra Whiskey and November 715 Sierra Whiskey are two 737-700s that are in the Southwest Airlines fleet. They were both delivered in June of 1998. They started their careers with Southwest Airlines in the standard Desert Gold livery. Both aircraft were delivered without winglets and had them installed in 2004. Both aircraft would remain in the standard Desert Gold livery until about 2005, when they received the Shamu livery on top of the Canyon Blue repaint. Around this time, the Shamu 737-500s, 501 and 507, lost their Shamu liveries. There was a brief period, again in early 2005, when all 5 Shamu planes were flying with the Shamu liveries on them. 713 and 715 saw no major changes to their Shamu livery while the partnership remained active. They both had subtitles that always said Adventure Parks and always had the same Shamu logo. Neither had a Shamu number designated to them. 713 and 715 are unique. They had flap canoes that were painted black for the livery. Here you can see that 334 Sierra Whiskey, 507 Sierra Whiskey, and 501 Sierra Whiskey all had unpainted and gray flap canoes. 713 Sierra Whiskey was the first of 3 Southwest 737-700s that flew in SeaWorld colors. The aircraft was painted into the Heart livery in late 2014, when the partnership between Southwest and SeaWorld ended. 713 Sierra Whiskey is still flying today with Southwest Airlines and remains in the Heart livery. 715 Sierra Whiskey had a mostly parallel history with 713 and was also repainted into the Heart livery around 2014. However, due to the coronavirus outbreak, 713 has been grounded since early March of 2020. This brings us to the last SeaWorld plane, known for a short time as Penguin 1. Penguin 1, a 737-700 with registration November 280 Whiskey November, was unveiled on June 20th, 2013 in Orlando, Florida. The aircraft was named after Pete and Penny, the pair of Magellanic penguins that flew on Southwest Airlines. November 280 Whiskey November was delivered to Southwest Airlines in June of 2007 in the Canyon Blue livery, with winglets installed. 6 years later, in 2013, it was repainted into SeaWorld colors, featuring those penguins. 280 Whiskey November also had blue flap canoes. To be clear, Southwest did not choose the Penguin 1 livery due to blackfish. The Penguin livery was planned and in the works. Penguin 1 would have flown regardless of what happened with SeaWorld. In any case, due to the partnership ending, 280 Whiskey November lost its SeaWorld branding in April of 2015, barely 2 years after it received its SeaWorld livery. This short time frame indicates that Southwest Airlines was not expecting blackfish or the subsequent fallout. Repainting a plane is costly, and it's unlikely Southwest would have painted up Penguin 1 if they knew what was coming. November 280 Whiskey November, however, is still a very unique plane today. In 2015, 280 Whiskey November received the Missouri 1 special livery. Today, Missouri 1 is still flying with Southwest Airlines and still has its blue flap canoes from its days as Penguin 1. The blue is a nice holdover from the SeaWorld partnership, since Penguin 1 was the shortest-lived SeaWorld plane, only keeping its marine livery for 2 years. Basically, only 2 former SeaWorld planes are still flying. 713 Sierra Whiskey is in the standard Heart livery, while 280 Whiskey November is still flying around as Missouri 1. 713 Sierra Whiskey is currently parked due to the coronavirus outbreak. It's likely we'll see 713 flying again soon. While it was sad to hear about the end of the Shamu fleet back in 2014, I'm still thankful that we have had these airplanes flying around for over 2 decades. They were certainly unique paint jobs and definitely caught the eyes of many. Outside of Alaska Airlines, who has their Salmon 30 Salmon jet, FedEx with their Panda 777, and Frontier Airlines, which many people still avoid, there aren't too many other airlines with animal liveries flying around. I know I'll always remember spotting the Shamu planes flying around California, and I hope this video helps you remember them as well.